Hello, guys. Hopefully you can hear me. Good evening. This is my weekly lookout for next week. My charts are kind of already marked out. Pardon me. I think I should clear everything so that we go over again from scratch. I think that will really help us all. Let me clear everything so that you see what I'm marking and why I'm marking them. This is silver. For some pairs, I will not take them off. I'll just leave them as they are. These pairs, I'll leave them as they are. I'll explain why I've marked them though. So let's start with EuroCAD. Okay, for my edge, how I trade is that I look for a change in state. What is that? You see, it is a series of down candles. That's if it's an uptrend, it's a series of down candles that took out a liquidity and broke structure. So in this instance here, this black candle here took out this liquidity. Let me zoom in so you see better. This candle and this candle, they came back, took out liquidity and broke structure. They broke they broke structure over here. Yes, these two black candles are the cause of this movement here. So that for me, so then the opening of these two candles, the opening of the consecutive candles, that this opening would be my change state. I'll tell you why I've marked the one at the bottom instead. So that for me, for my edge, I must see that the candles must take out liquidity and cause a break of structure. So that's all here. It's all done here. So after that happens, they must form some liquidity at least before some areas of liquidity that's equal lows or lows must form at least close to the changing states. That's the opening of the candle. Let me explain why I've made this one the changing state. If I go down to the 1 hour, you see that it is more refined over here. That's why I've used that one instead. So you see that as you go down to the one and see the 30 minutes and see why I use that one. All right. So see, normally I should have marked. You see, these three candles, they are all black candles. They are consecutive candles. That's true. I should have marked them, but you see that this very last one that formed for price, did they see that the area of liquidity is formed directly on that one? So that's why I use that one as the changing state over here. That's the only reason why. Because normally it would have been up here, somewhere up here, but because the liquidity formed on the last one, so I use that one as my changing state. And mind you, that is the opening. That's the opening of a series of consecutive down candles that broke structure. That took out liquidity and broke structure. So in this case, it's an uptrend. So the other block will be a series of down candles that have taken out liquidity and broken structure. So these candles over here would be the candles I'll use. So the opening of these three candles, that's this one, the very first one, should be the changing states. But in this scenario, because of the liquidity form very close to the last one, so I use that one as my changing state. That's perfect. So, and I said that liquidity should form close to the changing state. So in this case, this low over here is the liquidity, but if we zoom in closer, during the New York session, it formed equal lows. So I use that one as my area of liquidity, right? So hopefully you can see it. I've marked it out. There are some tools where they have marked it out as my area of liquidity. So I have my change state that took out liquidity and broke structure and form a new liquidity be close to the new change state. So now I have to wait for price to come back to it, and lo and behold, it took a while, but then price came back to it. So that's where I have my entry. My TP is here, but you see that Eurocard is aiming to take out the extreme high at the top here. This extreme high, because you see that the same setup I was showing you is happening on the higher time frame. This is the weekly. You see that it forms some change state here, form liquidity over here, and some old areas of liquidity here and here. What happened? Price went for months or years, and then what came back for those areas of liquidity over here. If you can see them, our markets. See, it came and took it out over here. So now its next target is where? This very high, this extreme high. And now that price has come here, my targets can be this high, but I always target a 1 to 5. Always a 1 to 5. I don't over do it. Just take some and leave. So hopefully that's why you get why my entry is there. You see that combined with the area of liquidity, price also form a fair value gap right at the same place. So I see how it came to the midpoint of the gap exactly, and it's just now rejecting upwards. So that's why I'm looking for buyers on Eurocard for next week. I've already taken this trade. It's open on Thursday, so hopefully by next week it will go and hit CPOs or something. Next pair we have GBP/NZD. Let me also explain this one, but it's a similar story to the same thing I was saying before. If you zoom out, it's too zoomed out, but then if you look here, it's a series of down candles, right? Before that broke structure, but because of it's on the weekly time frame, it's too big. It's just, this order block is too big, so we must try and refine it. So let's go down to the daily. The daily. So you see that the last two candles before price, you see how this is the break of structure here, over here, as you can see it. The other block that caused the break of structure. See how right when this block form right here, see how price were just going very very strong bullish energy or momentum. So this one for me is a valid one because it caused the break of structure here, and see that it came back from an area of liquidity and went again. So now I have my change state. I'll tell you why I've marked that point as my change state. I have that. I have my break of fracture. I have my formation of liquidity, and price came back to the change state. So let me go down to the 4 hour and I'll show you exactly what I saw. So you see that those areas, there are a series of down candles, but I've marked out the opening. Although you are seeing some green, but then you see that those two candles were the other block. So just stick with the opening of that, and that's what I use as my. And see how price came and tap it like ever so slightly, and then it's now making its way high. So that same setup that we saw on the weekly, that same thing is happening again on the 4 hour time frame. If we look here too, the same thing is happening on the 4 hour time frame. You see over here, let me go back to the daily time frame. Price has formed two candles, these two candles, and then they took out liquidity, as you can see over here. They took out liquidity over here, and they caused the break of structure 2 over here. That's beautiful. So I have those two things, plus before price left, price actually formed an area of liquidity here, over here, as you can see, right? But if you look closely, you see that price has done this, come down, gone up again. This, you see that before price broke structure, let me clear these ones. Before price broke structure, these were the two. This was the other block that caused the break of fracture. That's why I'm using them as my point of interest, or my area of interest. So if you go down to the one see that this is the opening of those 4 candles. So that became my change states. I see that price has formed some very small area of liquidity over there. I've marked it out as the X. So hopefully next week, as if you can see it's even more refined here. You see these consecutive down candles, the opening should be my change state. It's like a refined one, very refined. So if you want a very refined entry, I'm sure you can use that one as your change state, and they form liquidity very close to it, and that liquidity to form in the landing session. So for me, it is very valid. So hopefully next week price should come and tap us in and go higher. So I'm bullish on Eurocard, bullish on Pound and ZD. Yep, price should tap us in and take us higher. Next pair, UG. For UG, long term, come in. That's so messy right now. Long term UG, I'm bearish for UG. Why? Because if you look here, we've had a bit of structure here. Price came back. Price formed another block, form liquidity over here, came back, took it out, tapped the other block, push higher, cool. So price form a new one, form liquidity here, came back, took it out, tapped into the other block, push higher, and caused a break of structure. So now this down candle here is our new order block. Price shouldn't go below it, right? So price went from liquidity, went higher, came back for the liquidity over here, and it decided to push higher, but it failed. It failed to break it failed to hold, and it got broken. The very fact that this low got broken, for me, is showing us that price has now changed from bullish to bearish for UG. And how do I think so? If we look in the flip side, see there's the series of up candles, these 3 candles up here. You see what happened? Price form an area of liquidity that I'm going to the daily time frame. I think I'm going too far, but please bear with me. If we look here, price from this candle was here. Hold on, let me get a refined one so that you see clearly. I don't want to see any misunderstanding. So if you look carefully over here, you see that these 3 candles over here, look, that is the change. And then price came and formed liquidity and then left. So what happened? Price came all the way back for the liquidity, and then see how it came to the midpoint exactly and left. So for me is showing that price is bearish. So price has been pushing down all the way down, and our target is this low over here. But this week, you see, price couldn't take it out, so price is going back for liquidity enough to push it back. So if you go to the weekly time frame, we see 3 candles here. So these 3 candles are bearish order block. The opening should be the close in this should be our change state. No, that's the open. Yeah, open. Yeah, yes, that's the open. Should be our change state. But if you come down to the daily, you see that it gets more refined. It gets more refined. If you come to the daily, I should go to the 4 hour instead and see whether I'll get a refined one instead. If you look closely, you see that over here, yes, over here, these 3 candles over here, I should mark it out so that you see clearly. These 3 candles over here, if you can see it, our change state took out liquidity, broke structure, formed new liquidity, came back and took it out. So now that order block has been tested, or tested, or is no more fresh. It has been mitigated, right? Okay, so now this new bearish this new bearish order block becomes our new changing state. Let's go to the 4 hours so that we see clearer. That becomes our new changing state. So now see that price has come to form liquidity right before our changing state. So hopefully, and now see that price is now targeting internal range liquidity. That's this area of liquidity. So now you must find setups that support the idea of price going up. So for UG, for next week, UG like this, you see that this week UG was pushing higher. It took out external range liquidity and decided to look for what internal range liquidity, right? So hopefully next week, and I think if you look from down here, oh come on, from this bottom to this top over here, you see that it came to the midpoint. That's good, but I feel there are deeper levels of liquidity price can come for next week. So next week I think UJ can push down a bit more for some deeper area of liquidity before it will push higher. So something like this. Is it that it will go higher? Sorry. Is it that it will break, push past this one, come back for the liquidity, and go higher? Sorry. Go higher like this, or that's one instance, or it can also come back all the way down, take our state and go for the deeper area of liquidity and push higher, and then push higher. It's any of those two. That's what I'm looking for. So next week I can look for sells into the deeper area of liquidity, but it's very let me say it is a bit risky. So for UG, I'll be watching UG for now. For GU, for GG, it's a similar story, very similar story too. I feel like to go over again is a bit long, so let me just show you what I see for only next week. It's a similar story. Our change is up there somewhere. You see that it is where I've marked is exactly the midpoint of this gap here. I think it's the midpoint of this gap over here. You see, that's like in line with our change state. So for me, that makes it more valid for me. So over here you see that this was the last down candle before price push up. These two are kind of engulfed in this one, so I use this one as the bullish order block in this case. If we go to the 4 hour, see for last week price was pushing, making higher highs. So means that it was targeting external range liquidity, that's these highs and whatnot, right? So once price took out these highs, like it has reached its targets for the week, and now change to find internal range liquidity. So for next week on GG, I expect price to, you see how it came here, tap liquidity, went up, but it failed. This one failed this this order block failed to hold and push it higher, broke. So that means that it's now a that's what they call a church, right? So hopefully this coming week I expect price to either come down like this, break, then come up for the liquidity and then push lower. That's what I'm looking at for the next week on GJ. Just that I'm not looking for any other thing on GJ. And UNZD, a very similar story to pound NZD, very similar story. Long story short, change states, liquidity here taking. If you look closely, you see that it's a change state over here, right? And liquidity has formed before it, so price must come and take out the liquidity. But you see what I've marked a deeper level, because if you look closely, these two candles over here are the main candle that broke structure. So that's why I marked them as my change states, and I put my setup is before them. So my bet is that price would take us, would tap us in like this and take us bullish. So UNZD and pound NZD both bullish, GJ bearish, pound CHF I'm also bearish on this pair, but for this pair I won't take it next week, so let me leave it behind. Let's look at silver and gold. I like those pairs too. They are really cool pairs. Silver and gold. For silver, I expect it to be, you see how it came to this block here and it decided to push down. So now price is now targeting lower sell side liquidity, that's old lows. So now my focus for next week is what's bearish. I'm looking for bearish activities from price. That's for next week. So as you can see here to this is our other block. Price left from liquidity over here, came and took it out and then came back to the level and then pushed back down. So the current one is this level here is our current change states, this one over here. So hopefully price may push up, tap it and go lower, or price may just just come for like a take out this high then just go lower. However it does, I'll just be looking and I'll frame my tracer around that. My TP area, these lows over here, that's my TP area, so I've marked it with the golf ball, whatever. Then gold, finally gold, I've already marked it too. A similar story. You see, gold is now targeting sell side liquidity. You see, it's now looking for old lows. You see, this our current what change state over here. So until price gets here, I'm looking for what on gold. Only sells on gold. Beautiful. Down to the 4 hour. If you look closely, our order block price pushed down from liquidity, went away, came and took it out and broke structure. So now what's happening down again? Let's zoom down as to why I'm over here. You see, price has formed the order block, has broken from liquidity, left and came back for the liquidity. Let me zoom down so that it's clearer. So over here, if you look, you see there's an order block here. Price left it, came from liquidity, left, came and took out and tapped the zone. That's why I don't think price will come all the way up here on gold. So our next one is these two bullish ones. As those are the one that took out the liquidity and then broke structure. So let's focus on these two bullish candles here for now, right? So what happens again? Price goes down, price from liquidity here pushes down, and price come back for the liquidity in the New York session. That makes it more valid for me. So now these candles here, these consecutive candles here are our changing states. But if you zoom down carefully, you see that the last candle that caused price to break structure, you see that this candle has engulfed a lot of them over here. So I think this bullish candle here is the one that has caused the break of structure here. As if you can see, and you see that besides it took out some old liquidity here. I should mark it out. Some old liquidity over here. That's ever so gently took it out. Ever so slightly, yes, took it out. Just gently took it out. That was beautiful. So now you see how it is. The candles, price broke structure, form liquidity came back, and price came back for it. So now these candles are now the blocks we are focused on. So I've marked it out. So hopefully by next weekend, is it that it has formed an area of liquidity here? But mind you, price is looking for old lows. So I don't expect price to be pushing all the way from here to all the way up here. No, I don't expect that to happen. Price should find the closest area of liquidity and then push lower. So in this instance, hold on, I expect price to do what I'm shuffling, that is, break this low, come and take out the liquidity and then push lower, or price can just come from here, come for the liquidity and then push lower. Any of those two options are viable for me. So sells on GU, sells on gold and on silver, sells on GJ, buys on Eurocard, pound NZD, and Euro NZD. That's what I'm looking at for next week. I will take only 5 of them. The rest I will leave them be. That's what I'm looking at for next week, God willing. Let's have a great week next week, and remember to record your trades. Hopefully it's been insightful. Thanks for following. Peace.